So you gotta be consistent with your workouts, you gotta be consistent with your nutrition, consistent with your sleep. Hey man, Gary Walker here, and welcome back for another video. All right, this is a fun video. In this video, I'm gonna tell you how you can build a better body in the winter. All right, so here's the thing. When the winter comes around, a lot of people tend to get more lazy. However, this is the best time of year, man, to actually build a better body. Now, with that being said, let me clarify a couple of things. Building a better body and showcasing a better body, two totally different things. So the winter time allows you a couple conveniences. One, you're typically covered up because it's cold. All right, so you can get a little bit of fluff on your body. It's a chance to get a little bit of body fat. Now, I don't mean a lot of body fat, all right? You still gotta eat in moderation. You still gotta control what you're doing. But if you do that, if you eat a little bit more, if you rest a little bit more, if you take advantage of all the winter conveniences, that's the time to prioritize muscle building. The best way to build muscle is to have a little bit more calories in your system, have a little bit more fluff. All right, it helps you push a little bit more weight. So it helps your hormones as long as it's not extreme. So keep that in mind, not extreme body fat. When you do this consistently in the winter, I'm talking 3 good months of off-season work. That's what I like to do. 3 months, you know you're gonna be covered up. You're not wearing your little tank tops. You're not taking your shirt off at the pool. You're not doing any of those things. And you're also gonna be around a lot more food. A lot more food for the holidays. You got Thanksgiving. Well, let's backtrack. You got Halloween. If you got young kids, you got grandkids, whatever it is, you got candy around. You got Thanksgiving, you got Christmas, you got New Year's. So there's a lot of those things. Then, you know, not only New Year's, but then you got Valentine's. There's cakes and cupcakes and candies. So a lot of different things in the winter that lead to excess calories, but still controlled. You want to make sure you're still eating about 80% good quality. That 20% you can enjoy yourself. So it's just only natural in the winter to enjoy yourself a little bit more. Also, there's pretty much less hours in the day, it seems, less daylight. So people are indoors more. When you're indoors more, that leads to less activity. So again, less activity is more recovery time for muscle growth. That's the key to growing. Feed yourself, lift a little bit heavier weights, and then rest a lot. You need a lot of rest and recovery days. So those are all built into the winter months. So if you're doing that, then you're going to be able to build your best body. Once the spring comes, you can start stripping some of that body fat off to see what body you built underneath. Because it may be covered up during the winter. That's perfectly fine. All right, it's not gonna stay covered up. Keep that in mind. That's gotta be your mindset. Not thinking that I'm gonna build this body during the winter and then keep the body fat covering it up during the spring, the summer, all the way into the fall. No, you gotta have mini goals. So mini, M-I-N-I goals. So little bitty goals. The first one needs to be winter growth and then spring cutting, summer looking good, man. That's a good way to set things up. So knowing now my mindset when it comes to building your better body, the key obviously, building more muscle. You gotta build more muscle. Best ways to do that, prioritize protein. Make sure you're eating enough protein. So 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per pound of your goal weight. That's gonna be sufficient, and break that down over 3 meals and 1 snack. So 4 times a day, you should be getting a little bit of protein. At the end of the day, it should equal that number, the 0.8 to 1 gram number. Multiply that by your weight and you're gonna have a low end and a high end of protein. That's the best way to do that. And then also just make sure you're eating good quality foods 80% of the time. So yes, 80%. So you can splurge a little bit on that other 20%. So you can eat a little bit more carbs than you normally would. You can have a little bit more protein than you normally would. You can have some of those other convenience foods if you really want them in the winter time. Because the other thing you really gotta focus on, you gotta stimulate your muscle. You gotta lift a little bit heavier. Now, I'm the guy that says you don't need to lift heavy to build muscle. All right, build muscle using light weights. That's what I constantly preach. That's why I came up with my Tricon sets. My Tricon sets are all about building muscle with lighter weights, saving those joints. Here's what you gotta understand though. When you have a little bit more body fat around your joints, then you can lift a little bit heavier. So what is a little bit heavier? So when I say heavy, heavy is relative. What's heavy for me may not be heavy for you. Or what's heavy for me may be way too heavy for you. All right, so it just kind of depends on each individual. Heavy meaning, typically I like to structure my reps 8 to 15 reps, anywhere in between. If you're doing compound movements, you're doing squats, bench presses, back rows, overhead presses, pull-ups, any of those between 8 to 15 reps, that's typically what I like you to do. Stay in that rep range. Now, with the winter months, it's okay to challenge yourself a little bit. Let's go 6 to 10 reps. Stay in that range. Now, if you do a weight that's so heavy, you can only push it up 5 times, you can't get it a 6 rep, that's way too heavy. That's when I'm saying you don't need to go that heavy. That's just gonna destroy your joints. All right, especially as an older guy who's dealing with a lot of wear and tear already, your elbows, your shoulders, your back, your knees, whatever it is, all the guys in my program, all the guys I've coached that are over 40 have some type of nagging issue. It can be one of the joints I just mentioned. It can be anything else, even ankles and wrist. I've seen it all. So knowing that, you're gonna challenge yourself in the 6 rep range to the 10 reps. So that's what I mean by lifting a little heavier. Now, lifting a little bit heavier also means you're gonna need to take more rest in between each set. So going back to the 12 to 15 rep range, if you're doing 12 to 15 reps, a lot of my guys, I have them doing 60 seconds rest in between exercises. Well, when you start hitting 6 reps, 7 reps, and you're failing within that rep range, I'm gonna want you to take 2 to 2.5 minutes. So rest longer so you get enough recovery to hit that same heavier weight for the second set and the third set. So that's one of the big differences when it comes to your training. All right, so you just gotta make sure you're doing that consistently and then focus on progressive overload. You gotta make improvements, you gotta challenge yourself. So we're looking at this phase, this muscle growing phase, also a chance to build strength. Since you're lifting a little bit heavier weights, you're gonna be able to build more strength. You're gonna be able to use that strength to put on more muscle tissue since you're eating more food. Be really careful with the rest and recovery. You gotta make sure you are resting, so make sure you're taking your rest days off in between your workouts, getting good quality sleep at night, doing those. All right, so now let's go back to the progressive overload I was talking about. So what is progressive overload? You wanna make sure you're making improvements. It doesn't have to be every single workout improvements, but every second or third workout, you wanna either increase the load that you're doing. So if you're doing 50-pound dumbbells, try 55. If you're doing the load that you're maxed out at already, then if you're doing 10 reps, try 11 reps, then 12 reps. So you're gonna gradually go up in the rep range, or you're gonna go up in the load. Or if you're maxed out at both, add one more set. So if you're doing 3 sets of 6 to 10, and you're doing it at 50 pounds, and you've already maxed that out, then do 4 sets, one more set of that many reps. That's gonna be another form of progress, all right? So progressive overload, that's basically all that means. You're making improvement somewhere within the reps or the load, the weight that you're lifting. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense, all right? So you got your workouts, you got your nutrition, you got all of those things, and then even supplementation at this time. So a lot of people are deficient in a couple minerals. Usually it's zinc and magnesium. So I'm always gonna recommend a ZMA supplement, zinc and magnesium aspartate. So that's one of the best supplements for you to take right before bed. It's gonna also help you get into that deep sleep. Deep sleep is the next tip I'm sharing with you. If you're working out, lifting heavier weights, your nutrition is maxed out, you're doing those, but you're not getting good sleep, then you're not gonna be allowing your body enough time to not only rest and recover and rejuvenate, but boost testosterone levels. Because that's what happens when you get into that restorative sleep, the deep REM sleep. Your body's gonna produce more testosterone, more growth hormone, which is gonna lead to more muscle growth. All right, so that's gonna be crucial. Also, this is the time you need to track your progress. So if you're not making goals somewhere, you need to know that you're not making goals. So if you're just flying by the seat of your pants, going from workout to workout, can't remember how many sets you did, how many reps you did, how much weight you did last month, then you're not gonna get the best results. I like to write it all down. It can be a workout log, a workout journal, anything like that. Document it. An app, if you need an app, just program your workouts, sets, reps, weights, have it all, and then track it. Make sure you're making improvements. So you gotta make sure you're tracking so you know if improvements are not being made somewhere. All right, the last thing we're gonna talk about, and this is going to be probably the most crucial, consistency. Consistency, consistency, consistency. If you're trying to grow muscle, you gotta give your body a reason to grow more muscle. And if you're working out hard 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, and you do nothing at all, or you're just not consistent throughout the week, you don't eat good, you don't sleep good, those workouts aren't gonna matter. So you gotta be consistent with your workouts, you gotta be consistent with your nutrition, consistent with your sleep. Doing those are gonna make a massive difference in how much muscle you can build. And when we're talking about building your better body, you gotta make sure you're adding some muscle because that's what's gonna be shaping that body. All right, so that's how you build a better body in the winter. You're building, man, all right? That's what you gotta do. And then, like I said, once the spring comes, then check out some of our other videos, or once the summer gets here, then we're gonna start getting rid of a lot of that. We're gonna start shredding some of that body fat, getting it off so you can see the actual body that you built. And you're gonna look phenomenal, feel phenomenal, not only physically, but mentally. Man, with that being said, thank you so much for watching this video. And as always, get busy, get after it, and God bless.